I wanted to talk a little bit about my weight loss journey. Um, I'll start out by saying that I really didn't announce this, but this is the usual routine for me. I started out the new year before my son started school, determined to start walking again at least. Um, you guys know I have arthritis in my hips, and my poor daughter just developed it too. She's only 24. I guess when you get an injury, your bones and your joints start deteriorating, unfortunately. And I started out doing well for like the first 2 weeks before school started. I was forcing myself to walk every day, and I was feeling better because, like I said, I gained some weight over the holidays. I was feeling better, and I could see that I was, losing the weight. I was fitting better, in my clothes and in the car seat. And but once school started, it's been exhausting. I'm driving 2 hours a day, and that first week, which I didn't do a video that week, I was exhausted. I was forcing myself to go out. I did a lot of errands and forcing myself to walk. Standing is extremely painful, and I don't know why. This is why I don't like going to the post office. I think it's because you're shifting and standing and you're shifting, and I'm not sure if that's adding pressure to the joints of my hips, but I know that walking is much better. I know I can't walk more than half an hour, or I will barely be able to walk back home. I noticed that standing kills me, but walking makes me feel a lot better. But then that first week of school, I pushed myself and I pushed myself. Probably because I was looking for I was stalking Walmart. I think I went to Ulta to get a couple of NYX products, for the face and stuff, because I go through that a lot. And so I think I was just forcing myself to do that. If I had to pick up stuff for our home or whatever, I was forcing myself to still walk. So I would run those errands. But what I was finding is that I had a amount of paperwork, because as usual, it's a never-ending story for me. Especially if you have kids in with government or city or county stuff, you're constantly doing paperwork. So I had to get to that, and I noticed that between that and Super Bowl, because my brother's fiance cooks really well. She makes this mean cornbread, and I asked her to bring cornbread for the Super Bowl, and I think I just had too much of that, and I noticed that between doing paperwork, I wasn't doing the walking again. I was exhausted doing paperwork. Your brain hurts. And I guess eating that cornbread, I noticed I had put on some weight again. And I think that everybody's just different how they gain or don't gain. I told you my sister's a psychologist, and she looks into studies, and she said, and people have said this, and of course haters are against it because it makes them feel uncomfortable to see someone who's not perfect in their eyes, but that people do have a fat gene. And that no matter how hard they try to lose weight, they're never going to lose the weight. It's just really difficult for them to lose the weight. I also noticed then there was another it's funny, another study done that a lot of where people have emotional issues, and until you can get to the core of that emotional issue and until they can heal, they most likely will not lose the weight. If someone shames you into losing weight or embarrasses you into losing weight or tries to force you to lose weight, it's not going to stick, because you need to really do it for you. When I lost the 80 pounds that first year that I found out that I was diabetic, I did it because I didn't want to die, because I knew my family needed me. Of course, then Christmas came and I started gaining weight, and I was able to, I plateaued. I was able to keep my weight down that second year. But then last year, I just started gaining weight again. I think between probably not walking, because if you're constantly running errands, you're really not doing an exercise routine. My routine, what works best for me, is walking, and it always has been. And I guess because I was doing a lot of paperwork, or maybe running around taking the kids to the doctors for this, for that, another thing. Those days I won't even, I just don't walk because my brain hurts, because I'm overwhelmed with the paperwork, as usual. taxes in the beginning of the year and stuff like that. So, I noticed that I will start to gain weight. I know this woman, another woman, says that she was chubby as a child, so she kind of like almost starves herself to stay skinny, and like she won't eat sweets at all. She won't eat a slice of pizza like most people. If you don't cheat once in a while, you're less likely to stay on your diet. She just practically starves herself because she says if she eats a slice of pizza, she will literally gain 5 pounds. She will put herself on the scale, she'll be 5 pounds heavier. And I can tell you, I think that's me because of, I noticed that from the Super Bowl, I messed up and I started gaining weight. And now I'm having a hard time getting back into the walking because I'm doing a lot of paperwork again and I'm exhausted. I'm driving 2 hours a day and it's just exhausting, and I'm not getting any younger. So the older you get, the tighter you're going to be, the less versatile multitasking you can do, and the harder it is to take off the weight. But I again, when I was walking for those first 2 weeks after the holidays, I could see the weight coming off. I felt better. I could feel, again, I fit in my car seat better. I fit, these new car seats are horrible for these new cars. I noticed they squeeze you in and they stay that way, and you can pull it out and start again and they'll still squeeze you right back in, and that's a pain in the neck. But yeah, I can fit in the car seat better. Mostly the driver's seat, for some reason, I have a hard time. Like my passenger seat, I don't. My clothes, like you could see that, how they were starting to hang off me again. But, and I just think that everybody's different. Some people have high metabolism. I know this guy who is a toothpick, and he eats like crazy. He is blessed with, he said he has a thyroid problem, but I don't know. I think to me it's a blessing, maybe because he could lose the weight, and I believe you can be beautiful inside and out, and even if you're big, you can still be beautiful, and if you're comfortable in your own skin, then so be it, as long as you're healthy. But I've recently watched a video where this woman is really downing fat people, and she's saying it as if she's being funny, saying, I'm saying this because I love you, and I'm saying this so that you could help yourself. But that might help one person in 1,000. If you could be beautiful, but if you have an ugly inside, man, you're ugly. You are ugly. You are an ugly person, because no matter how beautiful you're on the outside, nobody's going to want to be around you. Because you have a terrible personality. I knew this one woman who was so disciplined that she was obsessed with having her life as disciplined as possible. But she had the nastiest, most ugliest heart, and it's like she just left a trail of hurt people, a trail of crap everywhere she went, because she just hurt people. She was just so mean, and then I also noticed that when people lose weight, they like down people who are still fat, and I think that is so wrong. Remember where you came from. Remember what it took you to get to that point. Not everybody's on the same level. This one guy the preacher was in church preaching against fat people because he lost weight, and it's like, you want to know, like one person walked out, he made a joke about stuffing your face, and guess what happens to people who you talk to like that? Basically, they're going to go on a downward spiral, they're going to get depressed, and they're going to go into that cycle of eating comfort food. And after he said that, I kind of confronted him about that in an email, because I really didn't know him that well in person, but he opened his email and he was being defensive. Oh, I think I could preach against any sin. I understand gluttony is a sin. It's one of the 7 deadly sins. But it's not that cut and dry. It's not that simple, especially in the Bible. And I can tell you many cultures alike, they celebrate around a lot of food, They'll celebrate with dancing, and food. And, he was saying that he had every right to do that. And yet one woman walked right out of a church. And it was a small church. And the key people in his church, all of his staff members were all fat. So it's like, hello? Are you crazy preaching like that? And then After we got into a little tit-tat over that, I was like, well, you know what? I won't be coming back to your church. I get this booklet, and it was like a woman's retreat, and one of the retreat subjects was emotional eating, emotional, heavy people and emotional issues. So I found that really interesting, as if God was confirming to me I was right, and I mean, my poor dad, I remember when I was a little girl, he had gained a little bit. My father, oh my goodness, he was like the most handsomest, to me, the most handsomest man in the world. And
He was.
not only did my mom's friends, want him and like him, my friends thought my father was handsome. They were like, oh man, in my day, your father's fine. And even my daughter's friends like, that's your grandfather? Ooh, he looks good. And, he always took care of himself. And then at some point he started gaining weight. And I remember I was a little girl, he came in staggering into the house in pain. And, they found out he had some sort of stomach problem. I don't know if it was the gallbladder. I don't know the exact details, but I know that he went on a very strict diet. And like me, he has to take fiber. And that's another one of my issues. I forget to take my fiber. That fiber is awesome. It really, they said, because the doctor told me if you eat the fiber, it'll help you to eliminate, and you're not absorbing the fat as much. And it's really awesome. And I've been forgetting because I'm rushing to take my son to school. I come home to do my stuff, rushing to get him again. And so I've been forgetting to take it. But my father, he was on such a strict diet, a no-fat diet, because he didn't want to upset his issues. That he had to take fiber. And my father was really, really skinny. And even I remember him telling me that when he turned about 50, that he had stopped bodybuilding, but he started just lifting weights a little bit just to tone himself. And yet my father died of cancer, and I know this other guy, him and his sister were complete opposites. He only believed, he was a health nut. He believed jogged every day, ate fruits every day, and his sister just had junk food, and they used to argue. And for all of that, that man also died of cancer. I'm going to assume because at that time they were using those nasty pesticides on the food, and I think that's what killed him. I just feel, if you're comfortable in your skin, if you're healthy, because there are many big people who they're just big and they just don't have health issues. If you're comfortable in your own skin, don't let other people put you down because you're fat. Unfortunately, I have an enlarged penis, and I have been told by a couple of doctors that, to talk to the insurance company about having it removed, because it does, the skin did get infected. If you remember, 3 years ago I was in the hospital because I had a really bad infection on my skin. Recently the doctor saw how discolored my skin was. He said, you could tell you've had a lot of infections. It pulls at my waist, which probably isn't good for my hips. It makes me hot. It's, and they told me that I could probably, go to a doctor and have the insurance company approve removing that. But it is unsightly. It is unsightly. And I have people look at me in disgust. I could be friendly to a guy and smile at him, and he'll like, ooh, like I'm trying to come on to him. It's like, dude, please. And women, I look at them and they're like, oh, you're disgusting. You don't know how many times I've had people look at me in disgust. And, you just can't let that get you down. You just have to do your best to try and stay healthy. Do your best to try and lose weight. I've always had a hard time losing weight. I was chubby. I didn't eat until my tonsils were taken out. Once they started giving me all that ice cream and Jell-O and gave me all those sweets, I wouldn't stop eating. I gained a lot of weight as a teenager. I took it off, but I was always on the chubby side. But, one time I starved myself because my cousins were up my butt about, oh, you have those little chichos, man, girl, what's wrong with you? And then when I starved myself so I could be skinny, like, ooh, you're too skinny. I'm like, forget you, I'm just doing what I want. And, I didn't really start gaining weight till actually, I kept the weight off. After I put on 80 pounds when I had my first child. I took it all off. I starved myself bad. That messes up your metabolism so bad. And, then I just tried to keep it off. And then, when I got married, my husband liked to eat too. We used to eat out a lot, buy all these foods. Even though my husband says he's a health nut, he loves his sweets and and his junk. And I put back on the 80 pounds. And then I got pregnant, so I went up to like 230, and then I started walking. Not only did I try to not eat fattening things, but I was walking. And I kept that up for a few months. And I dropped 40 pounds. And I think, but what happened was, maybe, I don't know how long after that, I got pregnant again. And that was it. After my third child, I could not get the weight off. I was 230 pounds during my pregnancy, and I did not lose 1 pound after I gave birth to him. And, so that is, that was the beginning of it all. And then another thing is, in New York, you do a lot of walking. There's buses, there's public transportation. Owning a car is expensive because there's hardly any parking. If you park in the wrong place, those meter maids or whatever they call them are waiting. They're waiting for the time limit to be up for double parking because they have to clean the streets. You have to double park so they can clean the streets. And if you are like 1 second late, you've got a ticket. I mean, they don't miss a trick. And there are people, you put the money in the meter, and if you're not there the exact second the meter goes up, they're out there waiting. They're walking and walking and walking the streets. It is hard to get parking, and you get tickets so easily. Insurance is phenomenal because people drive like mad people over there, kind of like here. I think it's worse here, but over there, I think the difference is that is a lot of bumper to bumper because there's so much traffic. So in New York, you're doing a lot of walking, and it's not like here you have to drive to the mall. New York, you got the whole, like, from one side of the borough to the other, there are stores, and there are plenty of those avenues and streets that have stores. And so you do a lot of walking. I wouldn't even thought twice about walking 15, 20 blocks to my friend's house or to a family member's house. I loved walking. I would walk 40 blocks, and go to a specific street that had all the stores, whatever, to get my skincare, my makeup, or whatever, where I knew the sales were, and didn't think twice about walking back. But once you move out of that environment and you are where you have to use a car, that weight starts to come on. And I went from 230 to 250 to 275 to 300. I had to have surgery. I started having health issues already by this time. And I went to the doctor because I needed to have surgery, and she said, I think I was 30 at the time, or 35. She says, you're hitting 40 soon, and you're never going to take this weight off if you don't start now. And I remember between that and something else that happened, it really motivated me again to start walking. And I just ate less. I didn't particularly say I'm never going to have fat or I'm going to switch to wheat, because wheat was disgusting to me at the time. But I just ate less, and again tried to stay away from the sweets that I loved. So I still had my white rice and my white bread, but I just ate less, and I walked a lot. I loved it. In the winter, most complexes have fitness centers, and I went there to the treadmill. And again, I dropped about 60 pounds, and I walked a lot. I kept it off, and then I twisted my ankle. And one of the things my husband said, because he's such a health buff and he reads a lot, said that once you get an injury, it is really hard to get back on track. And so I did try again, and I was having a hard time, and then the car accident happened. By this time, I think I was 37 or thereabouts, and that was it. When I messed up my back, I became stagnant. I did not want to do anything, and it's really hard because of the pain. It is really, really hard to get motivated to move, and plus everywhere you go in a car. I did a lot of homeschooling, and when you homeschool, everything else is secondary. Everything else is secondary. If you're going to start cleaning your house every day, you're not going to get the homeschooling done. If you're going to homeschool your kids, you need to be dedicated to it. And so, the only times I went out was when my kids had an appointment. I just don't remember being as bad as here. I remember it just not being ever in my life as bad as when I moved to Texas. And of having to constantly go somewhere and do something and go here and go there. and the paperwork. And I remember that when I hurt my back, it was really rough, and I had to go like every day to physical therapy, and it got better. But the truth is never going to properly fully heal, and that's when fibromyalgia set in. My daughter had an injury, and that's what happened. She now has, at 24, she has got arthritis in her hips, just like me. I feel so bad for her, and it's been rough because she used to always help me do everything, and now for the past couple of weeks I've been helping her do everything, and it really set in. And like last week, right after my video, I had the worst fibromyalgia attack I can remember in 10 years. My whole body felt like it was shutting down. I couldn't move. Every muscle in my body was in pain. I was getting scared. I thought, did something rupture? Is there poison going through my body? I took a nap, nothing. When I was doing my video, I took another nap, nothing. Finally, the third nap that I took, and I couldn't even really sleep. It was really like I was just resting. And then my husband called me to tell me what time to pick him up or whatever. And he was on a business trip again. And then that third, when he woke me up, it was like, then finally I got all my energy back. I did a grocery, and I picked him up. And the stress, I think it was the stress from driving. I had to drive almost an hour up to Northwest Houston, and Pearland is all the way down in the south part of Houston. And I had to drive him to the bus stop. The traffic is horrible, absolutely horrible, the traffic. And they're doing work on the highway, and so that was stressful. And I think my whole body just was tense from having to drop him off, and then I had to go pick him up. But thank God I got my energy back, and so now it's just been rough. It's been rough. It's always the case with me. I can keep it up for about 2 weeks now, and then that's it. My body will just feel it, and it's really rough. But I know that for me, when I was, when my daughter was a baby, I had to bring my older one, who was 7, to school, and I had to walk. If you're from New York, you know what I'm talking about, or maybe a city. I had to walk 2 avenues down, 5 blocks across to take up a train. I had to walk, and I kid you not, about 100 steps up to transfer to another train. They have underground and upper level trains. About 100 with a stroller, walk another avenue and about 5 blocks to get her to her school. And I did this every day for a couple of months, and I was still gaining weight. This was when I just had my second baby. So it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous how some people's bodies are just so different. And if you have a good metabolism and you're a disciplined person, more power to you. But the moment you start bad-mouthing someone else because they're fat, you have turned yourself ugly, And, I feel bad because when again, it's emotional. When you tell a fat person, we already know we're fat. We don't need to hear from you. And, I don't like being fat because of my health. Because before the health, I thought I was just a big and beautiful woman, and as long as my husband loved me, that's all that mattered. But then my health got bad. And I understand weight brings health problems, but so do skinny people. I already gave you 2 examples of people who were skinny and still had health problems and died of cancer. So, it's in the food you eat. I really think a lot of it's the food that we eat. Unless we could grow organic food, we're going to have problems. The food is no good for you. A lot of this food is processed and all of that, and it's putting chemicals in your body. And unfortunately, that's, I think, where a lot of the cancer comes from. And, it's unfortunate. But, until I found out I had the diabetes, I was comfortable in my skin. And I still am, really. Except, for the only thing that makes me really uncomfortable is just the hanging panties. It's not normal. It's like, most heavy people are proportionate. And me, it just hangs, and it's uncomfortable. Unfortunately, when I had the babies, I noticed I had like a little pocket of skin that would hang. And unfortunately, all the fat goes into that pocket, and it pulls and pulls. But, if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't, that's the only thing that really bothers me about my fat. I don't like having a double chin, but you can contour, If you have the fat hanging from here, I don't care. I'm hot, I don't wear sleeves. But you can wear sleeves to cover that, You can wear loose-fitting clothing, or clothing that complements your body even if you're overweight. But nothing hides this pants. It just protrudes through anything. I can't even wear pants because of it, you know. But if it wasn't for that, I was, you know, I'm comfortable in my skin. I you know, I still feel I deserve respect just like anybody else. You know, I may not have nice clothes, but I try to, again, some people, I've heard people badmouth my hair, but I kind of like the messy look. I've said that before, I don't care. But as long as I try to have my hair nice, have my makeup on, my clothes don't have to be perfect. As long as I don't show my butt, you know, as long as I ripped and show my butt or something, you know, I'm comfortable in my skin. And the only reason why I want to lose weight is because I want to stay healthy for my family. In my mind, I still sometimes see myself as that perfect 16-year-old body. And every time I exercise, I keep my eye on the goal. Well, exercise for me is walking. I keep my eye on that goal. I'm going to look like that again. I'm going to look like that again. But the older I get, the harder it is. And so it's really hard. I thought, well, you know, since I'm going up and down these stairs and I'm driving my son around and running errands in between, that would still be the same. But I think that an exercise routine needs to be more consistent, where you're doing it for a certain amount of time, doing it repetitively. But then again, there's other people who could eat all they want and they don't gain weight. Everybody's just different. Everybody's different, you know? So, yeah, so standing, no, I cannot stand. I can't stand. I guess I'm shifting on my hips, but I can walk. You know, I wouldn't be able to, like, lift weights because I would break my back. Because, you know, when I got to the car accident, like, my whole spine curved. And I have deterioration in my neck, between my shoulders and my waist. You can see that you can see how the bones have deformed in my waist when I saw the x-rays. And then the last time I was in the hospital, I saw that it said I had arthritis in my hips on the record. So, you know, just, you know, be healthy, but don't ever let anybody put you down, you know, because you're fat. I hate when people say stupid fat jokes. It's okay to say fat jokes. It's okay to say me. Come on, that's not right. You know, so I'm dying for the day where fat people are going to be just as respected as everybody else. Why can't a fat person get respect? You know, and it's starting to happen. That's why some people are angry. Sports Illustrated featured an overweight woman. They are featuring overweight women on the runways now. And I think that's excellent. You know, give us our due too, because there are plenty of big and beautiful women out there, you know. So, you know, so yeah, you know, like it used to be acceptable to say bad things about African Americans, and then it wasn't. And it used to be acceptable to say bad things about the homosexual, and now it's not. And we need to come to a place where it's not acceptable to talk about fat people. It's not acceptable to say bad things about fat people. And many of us, you say something bad, and you're gonna hit the refrigerator because it just sends you on a downward spiral. Me, not so much anymore. You know, maybe before, long time ago, but for a long time now, I guess I've just developed a tough skin. But I feel bad for other people who, you know, who say, you know, they told me I was fat and all I want to do is eat now. It's not right. It's not right. We deserve the respect too, you know, just because we're heavy, because we can still be beautiful. And I don't care how beautiful you are. I could be 1,000 pounds, but my heart is beautiful. And I'm still going to be more beautiful than the woman who's beautiful and has an evil, ugly heart. So, you know, just a little, I guess, from the heart, from me. So yeah, I can walk, but I can't stand. I can't just like stand it. That kills me. If I see a long line, if I want to go to a store and I see a long line and I want something, I'm like, no, it's not worth it. I'll leave. Now what I've learned to do at the post office is one of my kids will stand online for me. Mostly, like my son doesn't mind. He'll stand online for me. Or if I go early in the morning when it first opens, or if I'm just picking up, it's open at 7 o'clock just for pickups, and there's nobody there, you know, usually. So that's what I've learned to do with the post office. They have like these little spaces where I sit at, and then when my son gets to the front, I'll get up. So, you know, so yeah, I mean, if you're heavy, for your health, just try to be active. I was completely inactive, and that's how I gained the weight. Lost the weight by walking, and you know, changing my diet drastically, but that's because I'm diabetic. So my blood sugar is fine, thank God. My blood sugar's been great. So, I guess you just get older, and it just makes it, your body starts to fall apart, and it's harder to lose the weight. But, don't let people make you feel bad. If someone's bad mouthing fat people, you know what? Shut your ears off and walk away. If it's on YouTube, block the person. If you want to, you could also, report them for harassment. Don't let anyone, make you feel bad because of your weight. If you are a beautiful person inside and out, that's what matters. Especially if you have someone who loves you, then what does it matter? There's one beautiful woman that I knew that just was prized herself on discipline, couldn't keep a man. She could not keep a man because she was just so mean, So what does it matter? And I just see that they're starting to give us big and beautiful women our due, and I think that's awesome. So don't let anybody make you feel bad because of your weight. Just do your best to just try and keep healthy. If you are unhealthy, do try to keep healthy for those that you love. But if you're comfortable in your skin and you're just a big woman, that's just who you are, and as long as you're healthy, then great. But if you're not healthy, then I would suggest just try and stay healthy, whatever it is. Make small changes. Don't jump into big changes, because it's that you got to take baby steps. But, maybe just try and be more active. Maybe just take walks to the mailbox, which is what I do because I live in the back and the mailbox is in the front. Take small little walks. Maybe park your car as far away from the door as possible, and just add just a little bit of extra walk if you can. If you can. I know I see some heavy people, they're on canes, they can't, So, if there's nothing you can do just as far as exercise, just, try to be as healthy as possible for the ones that you love. But, just don't let anybody put you down. Like I said, some people have fat genes. They just have fat genes. And psychologically, you make a fat person feel bad, it's not going to motivate them to lose weight. If they have emotional issues that are making them eat, it's going to make them eat more. So, just try and be positive, and just want to say I love you. I'm rooting for you. And next week I'm going to use the new the spring collection so I could show you these liners. I'm only going to use 2 with these because this one, I don't know, I just couldn't fit in with it. But anyway, okay, I love you all. See you next week. Mwah. Bye.